What's up, everybody? This is another episode of SPORTS-REUBEN-LIFE here. Now, I'm going to jump right into it, right? This episode, 4 episodes today, because this was my regularly scheduled episode, right? So I want to talk about Ben Askren retiring. He just did this. He said he had enough. It was great. They raised a lot of concerns with, if you were in the UFC earlier, would you have been good and blah, 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 blah. That's not what this is going to be about, right? This is going to be about Dana White got his way. Dana White, the president of the UFC, he was never impressed with Ben Askren in the sense that he was always like, well, if he comes to our level, he's going to get beat all the time, right? And so if you look at the fights that he was given, right? And Ben Askren says that he set those fight ups and he wanted to do this and he asked for the Masvidal fight and he asked for the Damian Maia fight and he did this and he did that, right? He wanted the Robbie Lawler fight, right? This has undertones of Dana White teaching you a lesson that you really weren't that good. Your undefeated record wasn't that impressive to him. So the angle of this story is, the compelling nature of this story is that nobody's talking about how basically Dana White punished Ben Askren. He said, yeah, come on over here. I'm going to teach you a lesson. That's what he did. First person he gave him, Robbie Lawler, right? He got beat up with that fight, dude. I don't think that he properly recovered from that situation right there. I don't think he was 100% from that. Number 2, he fought Masvidal, right? These are all high level, like you just threw him in there, right? And that's exactly what Dana White, if you look at what he does, he's teaching that dude a lesson. He's like, all right, come over here. I'm going to put you with some killers. I'm going to put you with some true savages, right? And then what do you do? Because those are opposite of what his fighting style is, right? Robbie Lawler, it was entertaining because the matchup was so opposite, right? You're not going to put Ben Askren with the wrestler, right? And so Dana White used to always, he used to say, well, they just put him with people that are kind of like his style, right? Like, you put him with a killer like Robbie Lawler, he's not going to wrestle him. He's not going to jiu-jitsu him. He's not going to do that other kind of stuff with him, right? He's going to put him with, Dana White matched him with somebody that's going to expose Ben Askren's weaknesses, right? All of these fights favored the other fighter, and Ben Askren was supposed to be the marquee. He was supposed to be the A side, right? They treated him like he was the Z side, dude. Ben Askren accepted these garbage fights, and I don't mean garbage because they're not good fighters, but none of these 3 fights favored him, right? Dana White set it up so you're going to pay, and we're going to make you pay fast. We're going to make some money off of it because it's entertaining. Ben Askren, he got humbled. They gave him about 15 humble pies, and he had to eat them all, dude. And he fought and he had a chance to win. He could have won, right? But the cards got stacked against him, and Dana White taught him a lesson. If you look at what happened, and if you read between the lines and you read the tea leaves and you follow UFC fighting, this is exactly what Dana White thought was going to happen, and it did happen. Then you put him, and then, okay, he loses the Masvidal fight, and what does he do? He puts him against Damian Maia, and Damian Maia is a jiu-jitsu expert, dude. So he knew that was like another setup, dude. That was another setup, dude. It's like, what? Right? Like, you getting set up to lose all these fights, dude. Right? And it's like, why are you putting them against these other players? Well, guess what, dude? It's like Dana White always kind of had his chip on his shoulder because Ben Askren from afar was always kind of, Ben Askren was real judgmental. He was really judgmental on Dana White. He really didn't like him. He talked bad about him. It was always this weird kind of situation, right? And that whole deal, when it unfolded and the trade happened and, everybody thought, oh, he's going to finally show that he can win and he has an undefeated record and everything like that. Well, it turns out that maybe he wasn't fighting the toughest competition at one championship, right? This also brings up this question where it's like, maybe there was even though Ben Askren, you would never accuse him of being, partaking in special supplements, but there's obviously a difference in what we saw there, right? I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm not saying that's what it was by any means or stretch of the imagination. But what I will say is that, he got beat, he got submitted by a jiu-jitsu expert, which is understandable, right? But at the same token, one championship, it's a tremendous league and everything, but it doesn't have the strict rules that the UFC has, and that's part of the reason why the UFC is mainstream. It's because of their drug testing, right? That's how these players are getting famous, right? That's how Ariel Helwani is interviewing Ben Askren on ESPN, essentially, right? And so there's all that dynamics where it's like, you got to fight you got to be a little bit clean. You got to be a clean fighter to fight in the UFC. And that's why it'll be almost impossible to compete with the UFC, because these other leagues are not partaking in the drug testing policy. So a fighter that goes from from like say one championship to the UFC, I'm not accusing anybody of doing steroids. All I'm saying is there are different rules for that, right? Hydration issues, all this other stuff like that. And so the special supplements game is probably alive and well in those other leagues because they don't have the money to do all the testing, but it's regardless of the fact, you don't hear about it a lot, right? So when these other superstars come from these different leagues and they go to the UFC, now the strict rules are going to be in effect. And I think that's why a lot of guys are not going to the UFC that are superstars in other leagues, because I think that that's a real issue when you have crossover. Now, and then conversely, when you have a UFC fighter that has been subjected to all the drug testing and they have a clean, bill of health, so to say, then they go to these other leagues and they get beat. What happens? Are they getting beat because that other league is just superior to the UFC? I want to say that, but at the same token, my skeptical hippo eyes tell me there's something to all that. So anyways, that being said, this is my observation of the Ben Askren retirement. I think it's good that he's retired. He doesn't want to fight no more. Respect to him. I'm not disrespecting any fighter. I think that it's a tremendous thing to go out there and go do that. I'm just saying that Dana White got his way, and he punished Ben Askren, and he got what Dana White wanted. Dana White got what he wanted, and he taught him a lesson. And now he retired. He retired him. He fought 3 times. They were all very interesting fights. He retired him. Robbie Lawler, Masvidal, and Damian Maia, that's Killer's Row right there, Jack. And that's all the complete opposite styles there. Anyways, if you like this video, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit me in the comments. Let's go back and forth. Tell me you're a Ben Askren fan. Tell me, hey, Ruben, you're way off on this. You're a Dana White fan. Hey, Ruben, you're way off on this. You're a UFC executive. Hey, Ruben, hire me. Oh, yeah, that's right. Do that, too. Anyways, like, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. I want to hear it in the comments. I'm going to say that every single video. I don't care because I want to hear it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.